I haven't even, I should have posted about this.
Okay, welcome everybody to today's episode of Naked TV.
Naked TV.
Where we're about to get naked. No, we're not. It's okay. I forgot to tell you that. No, we are going to get really raw about some super real topics today with my gorgeous friend Meg, and that's just really an unconditional when we meet up, because it's always real and raw. When I have you in my space, it's always very juicy, and we have some great topics to get through today. Again, I have no idea what way this episode is going to go, because there are so many opportunities and options. But I do want to just intro Meg in saying that you are just one of my dear friends, someone who is always a solid and stable. We don't get a lot of opportunity to catch up because, you know, you're just this incredible entrepreneur in your own right. Every time I see you, you've birthed another baby. And I don't mean in the literal sense, but you're here today to share another new baby with us. But I also, some of you may recognize Meg from a previous interview that we did over on my personal channel with your previous baby, which is A Man's Guide. What the fuck? A Man's Guide. Which is this book here, which I want to show you guys, because I highly recommend that you go and check out that interview, because it was so fun.
It was a good one.
It was by far one of my most watched.
Yeah.
And I have recommended this book to so many people. And what it is a really easy how-to guide for men on how to understand women's cycles. And this is a game changer. I think it's a game changer first and foremost. I must say, you've taught me a lot about understanding my own cycle. And when it comes to my business and how I need to show up at times, I'm so much more mindful about the times where I should show up in certain ways and times where I should retreat. Yeah. But also to help the men in our life understand how they can be supportive. I think, wow, this would have been a game changer to my life and previous relationships.
A few people have said it saved their marriage.
Yes.
So,
this is everyone needs to get a copy of this book, I feel like. But we are here to talk about your new book, which I'm so excited about. It is so full of incredible content.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe how much you've packed into this gorgeous book. Let's show them.
It's so thick.
Yes. You tell us. Tell us how and why. Yes.
Man's guide, woman's guide.
This is how simple men are. This is how complex we are. I love it. It's so true.
And the title, it's like When Shit Gets Real.
Yes.
It's sort of, that's where the conversation all stems from.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start by telling us a little bit about you, what led you to this baby, and we'll go from there. We'll see where the conversation goes.
We'll just hope. Yeah. It's, I think from wanting to understand my cyclic nature, I was then able to dive a bit deeper into all the parts that led to burnout. And so I call myself a recovering burnout-aholic, and that self-care has been literally what saved my life. And because there's many paths to self-care and there were many things that I tried, I just kind of put it all in a book. But then I realized everyone's got a different path and there's different voices, and so I asked about 50 contributing writers to add to this book. And I feel like that lands differently for people, because it is such an individual process. Getting to know yourself. And I found that the only way I've really gotten to know myself is by hitting those walls. And it gets juicy and it gets nitty gritty, and it's such a relief to be able to talk about that with other people. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one. Because
I feel like women are so bound by such heavy expectation in our society. So heavy expectations where we're not enough, heavy expectation of not being too much. So it's this counterbalance that makes no sense. And we are super women, like, to juggle family and business or work and make sure that you look after yourself. And there's just like the load that we carry, I think is it's heavy.
It's unrealistic.
And within that, we lose ourselves. And you know, I feel like I've gone through a journey over the past couple of years in particular of really coming to know myself, probably for the first time, knowing myself truly deeply without what the world is telling me I am or should be. And that's a process.
Yeah, it's pretty raw. And there's some dark, shadowy, ugly sides that we need to look at. And I feel like this book has helped me to gather all of those parts of myself and really make peace.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that while I was a ticking bomb.
Yes.
So that was the big motivation, I think, came from just looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, I need to have some longevity here if I'm going to last the test of time to be a parent, at least a, you know, responsible, caring parent.
Yes.
You know, because there were these patterns of propping myself up in the morning with coffee and sedating myself in the evening to get to sleep, and then it's like, this has got a use by date.
Yes.
This is going to, it's more about not if I'm going to burn out, but when. Yeah. And I just knew I couldn't afford to do it again with a 5-year-old.
Isn't it interesting, I have to say, how often it's our children that we will do it for before we will do it for ourselves, until we come to know that value and worth in ourselves, which, you know, whatever fuel you need to
I'm
use.
Cool with whatever gets you there, but then the tricky thing with that is that once you get there, then you have to say no to your children, knowing that they're going to hate you for it, and knowing that it's something that you have to do. Yeah, it's very true. It's not pretty.
Yeah, it's not. So I'm not sure where to start because there's so many ways we could go with this. Let's talk about the messy side of motherhood and marriage, and, you know, bringing in some relatability, and maybe then we can share some tools.
Yeah, there's a whole chapter in here called The Ugly Side of Motherhood, and a chapter on grief as well.
Because if you look at Facebook, we're all stand-up parents with our shit together.
So fabulous. Did you see the lunchbox?
I know. It's the day where the lunchbox is perfect and they actually get some vegetables. That's the day it's getting posted.
Absolutely. But I think the real moment, like when I wrote for that chapter, I had so many ugly side moments that it was hard for me to like pinpoint one. Yeah. So I merged them all into this one story, and it kind of was, it looked something like me screaming at Willem saying, "This is not who I want to be." Yeah. Like it was so dramatic, and it was so painful to be in that state in front of him when it's the last thing I want to be. And just this like wild abandon for my own care. Like I was kicking out at the wall and I didn't care if I hurt myself. Yeah. And so underneath that anger, there was this sadness, which I got to. And then underneath the sadness was this fear. And it was such a dark and lonely place. Yeah. And all I could do literally, you know, was just rock in the corner. And that is one of my best self-regulation techniques, is to rock in the corner. I'm all about it. It's just this slight, like it's a literal scientific study that if you hug yourself and if you care for yourself, just as you would your own child, like if you saw someone on the edge, really upset, losing their shit, you would probably give them a hug and give them some care. Yeah. And that's literally all I did. Yeah. And it just felt like it flipped it so quickly.
I feel like that's one of the most powerful healing tools in my own self-discovery journey, is being able to apply the compassion to myself that I so easily give to my children, to my friends, to my family. Yeah. Being able to flip that mirror and be able to give that to myself, because we're so hard on ourselves.
And I would not talk to myself the way I talk to my best friend or my child. Yeah. So it's literally that simple to start to shift it. And for me now, like I can say that I don't get to those states of just crazy town, but I feel the anger and the sadness and the pain, and I bring it close. I bring it really close, and I'm like, oh, you're feeling really angry. Okay. let's sit with that.
So is it almost like inviting strategies in as you become self-aware and you feel yourself moving to that place? There's a moment of pause and decision.
Yeah, where I invite it, I make it welcome. It's sort of like, I'm going to have a chat with all my multiple personalities now. We're going to go sit on the toilet and we're going to do some of this.
Yeah.
You know, and I literally in here, one of my, fast recovery strategies is to sit on the loo and bend over my thighs and just give my feet a little massage and do these ones.
Yeah.
And it's profound. It seems kind of silly, but when the bomb is ticking, you got to do what you got to do. And sometimes even if it's just drinking water, it's enough of a trigger. So this is why I wanted this book to have so many options in it, because it's infinitely variable. What suits you is going to be different to someone else. But I like the idea of being creative with strategies.
Yes.
And doing what feels good for you.
Yeah.
Like it can be really weird, quirky stuff too.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Whatever works.
I find also as my children are getting older, and obviously in a very age appropriate way. And, and one of my daughters, she's a teenager now, so she's now moving through emotion and hormones. And so we're relating to each other on a whole nother level too. And so I feel that sense of responsibility to pass the gift on of understanding your hormones and how to manage it and how to self-regulate when you're not feeling like yourself. And even now I would say that in the last year or two, I'm only really becoming hyper aware of when I'm not feeling like myself, and that it is also just that influence of hormones. And so then having more compassion for myself, knowing then how to regulate, take time out, how to express that to my children. So I really want to normalize it for them. So I'm so honest and raw with them now that, mummy's cycle's coming up and I'm just feeling a little bit of tension or whatever it is that I'm feeling in the moment. I'm a little bit more sensitive now, and they're more compassionate around me too. And that way, the triggers kind of lessen and we get to almost work as a team, but then I'm teaching them at the same time.
Absolutely. We're changing our lineage by doing this, because my mum didn't do it. She was a total martyr. So I tell my 5-year-old, it's mummy's bleeding time soon. I'm feeling like my patience is, my cup's getting low. And I explain it and he goes, fair enough, mum.
And what a beautiful thing to teach a young man.
I know.
He's going to be in hot demand, that
his
one.
Partner, I have this vision of his future partner coming up to me and just going,
yes. We need to teach our boys.
Mom.
If you have a son, please teach him how to honour women and vice versa. I think we need to teach our girls how to bring out the best in especially in men too.
Show them. So it's definitely a process and it takes time. And I've been making a lot of peace with time lately. Rather than expecting it to be this overnight recovery, it's like, no.
Well, it's a journey that never ends.
Time.
It actually never ends. It's just another level, unfortunately. Sorry.
Well,
fortunately.
You get through the ticking bomb part to some reserves and then life happens and then you go, oh, wow, I just handled the house flooding quite well. Normally I'd be hysterical at this point, but I actually got through that really well. And it's nice to, bank up some evidence of how self-care and self-regulation is showing up in your life, because ultimately the reason why we people please and push through is because we want to have these meaningful connections with the people that matter. Family, partners, children, work colleagues. But if we're showing up with all these fires burning and like a frazzled fruitcake, it's not actually what we really wanted. So it's this funny little conversation that we need to have with ourselves or all our personalities.
I just thought of a little tangent that I want to go on.
Let's do tangents.
And I know that you'll deliver some gold because we have these discussions and we've known each other for many years now and we've gone through many cycles and ups and downs together. Because I did a post recently and it got a really big response privately in my inbox. And essentially the tone of it is the relationships that you're experiencing externally are a reflection of the relationship that you have with yourself. And I know wholeheartedly, undeniably, the deeper the connection I have with myself, the more unconditional love I have with myself, the more I, give my love to myself first, the deeper connections I'm experiencing, the more fruitful relationships I'm experiencing, the less friction and tension, because there's less internal friction and tension in myself. So it's showing up less in my relationships.
Yeah.
And everybody agreed, wow, amazing information. But I don't even know how to access that for myself. Where do I even start? And I'm like, wow, that's more than a post. That's a big can of worms, because it's different for everyone. We have different wounds, and and self-love has been a huge journey for both of us that has had so many different seasons. And
yeah, I'm kind of boiling that down to, I kind of been thinking about the 4 S's. Like, if I could give some strategies straight away. So we have that first one, which is self-care, and that's just the basics, baseline of sleep, supplement, stretch, self-nurture. Then it goes into support. It's got to be the next one, because really, who can say, like, there's not many people that could say, yep, my parents and community gave me all the resources I need to be a conscious human on this planet. Like, we haven't got them. So support is such a big part of it. And I feel like people are a bit hesitant to get support because they think they're somehow a failure. But it's like, if we could all agree that we need support.
We need to normalize it. We, all women, have had the same similar thoughts on some level at some point in time. Like, we all experience burnout. We all experience overwhelm. We all experience psycho moments that we are ashamed of in ourselves. Like, we all experience these moments.
And I think with support, you can go into so many aspects of that, because there is that sort of psychological support, but then there's just deciding who your people are that you get nourished by. Like you said, you called a friend this morning. It's like quality. You knew that you were going to get nourishment from that friend. So you start to be discerning about who you're choosing to share your shit with. Like, is this someone that is going to nourish me, or is this someone that's just going to tell me what to do and tell me to shut up? So you start to get discerning about who your support network is. And then the strategies, like, I wrote a book on it. So that's the 3rd S, where you try on some strategies that can build up your reserves. And then it's about how you're showing up. That's the 4th S. It's like, okay, so if I have reserves, then I am going to show up, and I can have a meaningful life with the people that matter to me. And it literally is like a 4-step process that I always give myself plenty of time for. And that's where the cyclical nature of our bodies really is helpful, because we go, okay, we've got 4 seasons in our month. We've got 4 weeks on average in the cycle where we're bleeding 1 week. So let's not plan to do anything major. Let's have some unplugged time and have some recovery. Then in spring, the next week, we go, okay, I'm going to start initiating and planning. And then in the 3rd week, I'm going to get some really good shit done now because I'm ovulating and I've got all the energy for it. And then rather than tipping over into overwhelm, we pull it back a little bit before we go into autumn. And that PMT premenstrual week, and we just start to like back off. And so that takes a bit of time to regulate in our system or to normalize. It's like that might take 3 months. If you've been pushing, if you're used to just ignoring everything that your body is telling you. And I feel like from that point, to come back to your post, it's like, are we listening to our bodies? And I felt like once I've been able to live my life according to my cycle and those sort of 4 steps, I'm then able to go, oh, I can start to listen to my body, because this is the cool thing, like the body keeps the score. And they're writing books about it. It's scientifically proven that all that stuff is a cell memory. And we kind of can't access it unless we've got some stable state in our nervous system. So really all we're trying to do is get to a stable sense of connection in our nervous system, and then we can start doing the deep listening, which is profound. Like our bodies have so much to tell us, and women in particularly, that's where our intelligence is. It's in our bodies, and that kind of gut feeling or that sixth sense, it's all there. And even if you wanted to access it right now, you could go, okay, what part of my body is hurting right now? Like, you could start with pain, because pain is usually the thing that pushes us. It's like, oh yeah, my hip's a little bit off, maybe I could just move my position a bit. And it's as simple as that. Like, to start connecting with ourselves, it's all in the body. That's what I'm noticing. Does that give you?
And just, I know you really, and you've touched on this already, just really sitting with your emotions and being willing to feel it. So you can acknowledge it and go through it. And I find journaling is really helpful with that side of it as well.
I've been calling it leaning in. And this is where my friendships have helped me so much to get a sense of who I am in the face of unconditional love. And every time I've lent in and shared something vulnerable or ugly, they just say, I love you even more. And I'm like, really?
That's the interesting thing, is I spent so much of my life hiding my true self and watering down the strength in me because I felt too much. And since I have been stepping more into myself and embracing who I really am and being more authentic in my space, my connections and friendships are so much deeper. And is there the potential for some to leave? Absolutely. But they will always be replaced by something else. And, I've learned to not fear losing things from my space, because they're not meant to be there if I'm not able to be authentically myself.
Absolutely.
And keep them there. But the thing that we fear, like for me, there's only been reward really from stepping into more of who I am and feeling into and leaning in. And that would be one of my tips too, is when something feels uncomfortable, and whether it's like facing a fear, facing a pain that I'm feeling, I really lean in hard, because to me, it's more painful not to. You might be able to numb it for a while, but it's going to come back bigger.
It tends to get louder.
It gets louder. And the relief, I guess it's relief, but even sometimes exhilaration of moving through something. It's just like, I leveled up again.
There's an aliveness to it. It's like, when you feel that pain and you sit with it, and there is a part of you, if you've got some evidence that you've gotten through it before, or you've got close friends that are like, yeah, we got you back here. You're like, wow, I really know I'm alive. Because
that's the feeling.
If you were numb and just doing the thing, I mean, what's your preference? And some people are happy in the numb. That ignorance is bliss thing it's a cliche for a reason.
It's true.
But once you've had the taste of aliveness,
I feel like what I would say though, in my experience, when I was in the ignorance is bliss part of my life, there's an inner knowing, there's a niggle, consistent niggle that became anger and frustration and self-loathing. Because it just built and built and built, because my inner knowing knew that I was capable and here to experience so much more than what I was willing to lean into.
Did you find you were resenting everyone and being way bitchier to everyone?
100%. Total negative spiral. Not grateful for anything. Not able to see the joy in life. I would say, in terms of relationship, the disconnect it caused was the constant judgment of myself. When you are constantly, this is my belief, when you consistently judge yourself so harshly, you will judge everyone around you the same. And so that is one way to destroy connection with any relationship, especially with a man, because criticism is one of the worst things that you can do to the masculine. And so even if you're not outwardly criticizing them seeing you judge yourself that harshly, they energetically feel judged to the same degree.
It's the same when you're around anyone that you've known who's really controlling and
So I was very
Rigid.
controlled and rigid in myself. And so the energy around me was very rigid.
Yeah.
Whereas now that I love myself freely and I feel very free to be myself, I feel like the experience in my space is more freeing.
And that just describes the nervous system.
Yeah.
Because it's either rigidity or chaos.
Yeah.
And then in the middle there, where we're in a regulated state, then we're able to connect.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to show up. Like, that's what I mean by a meaningful life and showing up in these areas of my life in a regulated state rather than a rigid or chaotic
And it doesn't
state.
mean that you live there all the time.
No. We track it. We track in and out.
Yes. Oh, I'm a bit off track. Better go hug myself for a bit.
Going to the toilet.
But your self-awareness grows,
and
you get back into alignment with more grace and ease when that becomes your habitual state of being as the prominent. Like mine was more prominently rigid. And so these moments of alignment were brief and few and far between. Whereas now I live more often in alignment, and as soon as I'm off, I can feel it in my being. And sometimes it will take 2 minutes to get back. Sometimes it will take 2 days, and if something major's going on, it might take 2 weeks. But you get more self-aware, you get better at using the tools.
And like we said just before, there's layers to those core wounds of not good enough, too much, not lovable. You know, I feel like I made peace with those parts, but they still come up. Every time I grow my capacity and love more, oh, there they are again. It's like, okay, come on in.
But you're not judging them now.
Yeah,
you're
I'm staying with them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was probably the most pivotal change for me, was when I decided they're not parts that I need to fix, actually. There's nothing wrong with those. I'm going to bring them in. Yeah, it was really profound.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I know the book goes through a lot of strategies, and as you said, different ones will resonate with different women. I don't know if you want to touch on some others, but you also have created some tools.
I need tangible things.
Yes.
Like, you know, we love self-care and pampering, but I'm like, I need, you know, I'm thinking about me in my states of overwhelm, and I need immediate relief. That in those really strong burnout days, it was like I need instant relief. And of course I'd heard a lot about yoni steaming. And it's like, you know, you boil the water and you get the herbs and you squat over the bowl and then you burn your bum because the bowl's too hot, and it's like a thing. But it's really, and then you get into that position, it's like, it's great. So I decided that it took too long and that I needed a much quicker hack to that. And so I made the cloth.
Okay. So tell us about this. I feel like we need to take a step back.
I want you to.
She wants me to demo right here and now. So because part of our disconnect from ourselves is obviously a culturally conditioned, many rabbit hole conversation that we're not going to go deeply into right here, right now. But as women, we are quite disconnected from ourselves physically. And that's one of your passions, is really bringing women back in touch with themselves and knowing themselves deeply and fully. And on a sexual level as well. Especially when we become mothers, we can really disconnect from that sexuality part of ourselves. And certainly what I've experienced and noticed in my community of working with women is that when we're in touch with that side of ourselves and we embrace it fully and we feel free in that side of ourselves, that impacts all of the areas of our life in the most beautiful way.
Absolutely.
And so this is part of that whole journey.
Yeah, I guess, yes. And because when I studied my cycle, part of my motivation was to understand my sexuality through the season of my cycle. And one of the things, you know, if we can get pretty cosmic here with those parts that I have the conversations with, I can also actually communicate with my vagina now. It's like, I'm just going to have a chat with my yoni. Listen to what she has to say, because if you do start following your cycle through the seasons, you'll see that there's a different flavor or tone to how she's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like just starting that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, how is my winter bleeding yoni feeling? It's like, yeah, I need something warm. I need something nourishing. But how's my spring yoni feeling? Oh, she's feeling a bit flirty and like, I want to send this text message. And, you know, it's more, it's got that sparkle happening. So I guess this tool is about amplifying that connection.
Yeah.
Because what it does on a whole, like, it's not just about the sexuality, it gives me a sense of who I am.
Yeah.
And that comes back to your post again. It's like, well, I don't even know who I am to be out in the world and show up. Well, it's like, well, have a conversation with your vagina. You might actually find out more about yourself. And, you know, you're pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yes. Well, a lot of women wouldn't even know what their vagina looks like. Yeah. Or, you know, there's such a profound disconnect.
Yeah.
And then that goes back to all parts of our lives. But when, you know, one of my highest values is having a really deep, intimate connection in my relationship. And so how can I possibly have that if I don't first have it with myself? You actually can't.
Yeah. And I've tried and it doesn't work out well at all. And just the fact that we even call it a vagina when we're actually meaning the vulva. Yeah. We don't even have the right terminology down in our culture. So, and there's no real certainly for myself, even with all the self-awareness and coaching and training, and I feel very comfortable with myself and my body. I feel very connected with myself, and I love that side of my life. But even then, there is no word really that I feel comfortable with, because culturally, you've been raised with stigma around almost all of the words that are used to describe that part of our body. Yeah. So what do you call it? Like, I'm calling it a vulva. Yeah, well, me and the girls call it the JJ, because that's what Oprah calls it. We'll go with those. It's like fun and cute. But yeah, I have noticed that that's something I need to lean into, is becoming more solid in my connection on the language that I use around it. Yeah, very cool. We've got pictures of vulvas in here, some really beautiful artistic images, and artists are really good with anatomy. Yeah, I found they helped me free up my language around the vulva. Yeah, it's like vulva, yeah. It's good. It's interesting because to me they just sound like such ugly words, which is clearly a cultural conditioning. Yeah. It's not a reflection on the words itself, but just whatever conditioning that I've had around that. Yeah. So what about yoni? That's a bit too... I don't mind that one. Yeah, right. It's definitely on the hippie side. Yeah, it's the sacred space. But yeah, that's probably would be my preferred. Yeah, but to me it's not really a sexual. It's more that spirit. Yeah, it's more that connected side. So I guess I'm just kind of like thinking about my yoni now. You know what we need to add is a page of all the words that you can call it. Choose the word that resonates with you most. Pick one. Let us know in the chat what you call it. I like hoo-hoo. Okay, yeah. That's been one of my favourites. Yeah. But like, I'm just wondering if anyone listening could just connect in with that space in their bodies now and notice if there's any clenching. Like, even you who's comfortable, like, I'm just noticing now, it's like, oh yeah, there's a bit of a clench. Like, we're on camera, we're trying to be professional. This conversation would be going down a lot different if the camera wasn't on. There's a part of me that's like a bit clenched. Yeah, and particularly when I'm stressed and overwhelmed, it's really noticeable. And if I just listen to that, then the next step for me is in the evening I'll do this. So tell us about this. Which is essentially it's the yoni steam for busy women. I have got men to try this and they're like, where it's literally like this little pouch, which is made out of an organic bamboo cloth, and there's a herbal blend, and you throw a few teaspoons of herbs in here, run it under hot water from the tap, squeeze it out, and then apply. And you try clenching your yoni when you've got a herbal hot towel on it. It's just, you can't. So it's like instant relief. It's like, did I just have a massage or something? It's one of those like really quick hacks for overwhelmed stress. Yeah.
Just connecting back into
Yeah.
yourself.
And we did put one of the amigas in there.
Yeah, so Avoi, Meg, Avoi. Meg is the creator of the beautiful organic skincare range Avoi, if you haven't seen this before. And yeah, in terms of a skincare range with the highest degree of integrity and quality, like 10 out of 10, you're second to none.
You're a snob in that area.
So yeah, I am. So definitely check out Avoi. So this is is it a part of the Avoi range then?
The vulva pack is now part of Avoi, and I am working on a range called Avoi Down Under.
Oh, I love that.
So you can trial out the lubricant
amazing.
for me. But in the meantime,
are you assuming I need some?
It just makes it so fun.
Okay.
They're calling this, it's a face oil essentially, this one, but we're calling it face and fanny oil.
Yes, I love that.
Because I'm sort of
I use that for lots of different things.
Totally. It can go anywhere. And it's sort of like, well, if you moisturize your face, why wouldn't you moisturize your yoni? And that's what I'm trying to like. It's not such a taboo. Like as soon as you start talking about it, people are all about it. It's just not something, I don't know, it's been a bit of a subject to broach. Yeah. And yet as soon as I lean into that conversation with women, they just want to talk about their vaginas. Yeah. Like they're really into it. So
I guess it's that for having that freedom. You know, and that space, and you create such beautiful spaces for women to come together and just
it feels like just that human connection, because it's for men too. Like I'm feeling really inclusive of men now, where I was a little bit like, I need space, I need to work myself out, and now I'm actually seeing how much work men are doing.
You know, I would have to say I'm so, I don't want to use the word more, definitely so inspired by doing the work alongside men, because when you can learn to bring out the best in each other, like it's just a beautiful dance.
It's the bit where
you really like, I don't want to say you need each other. I feel like we can be more expanded in ourselves.
Yeah. That was where I was
when we can collaborate together. Yeah.
Because there's certain parts of me that I wouldn't be able to reach if I wasn't experiencing that in the counterpart of the masculine. And I've been really happy with my internal masculine feminine balance, but there's something about the external masculine that's just required for me. Like it suits me in this phase of growing my capacity. And I want to be able to, you know, crack open and fall into a lover's arms and be held. You know, that's such a beautiful state to be in. And yet for so long I felt that part of me that couldn't have that it's not available, men aren't available. And yet when I look at my brothers and my lover, it's like, oh no, they're there, they're doing the work. They're really.
And I think the more you do the work, the more you come into alignment with attracting someone of that nature.
I found that when I started to open or soften, I wasn't open to men, I was softening to them and seeing them as brothers, then I felt myself open to a man. And that was a really noticeable moment, the opening part. And it actually came from empathy. So from his genuine empathy for me in a situation that was so random, nothing juicy or sexual or anything like that. It was just a daily life thing. And he had genuine empathy for me, and I felt it, and then my heart just
softened into that. Feeling held.
So I mean, and it's what we do with each other in our friendships, and I feel like my friendships were where I've been practicing this on. Is that the way? I've been practicing intimacy and connection and showing up in these healthy, regulated states with my friends. Which means now in a state of sovereign lovership, I'm able to show up. But it still does pull the rug out every now and then.
Oh yes, we're all human.
The wobbles. And it's how we communicate through the wobbles. It's how we, like what I've seen with you is just this really intentional staying in connection, intentional communication that's keeping.
And it's that constant reminder, like I've had a couple of moments recently where I've consciously told myself to keep my heart open, to see, and this is in friendships, in you know, in all dynamics. You can have this with your children, you can have this, is just stay in unconditional love, knowing that each person is doing their best, and you know, your experience and your perspective is going to be different to the other person's experience and perspective, and usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's not the story that you're making up. And so if you can stay open, if you can practice in a pause and take a breath and let time pass before you respond, that's been one of my greatest lessons in relationships, is to actually just breathe, leave it for a day, because you will respond so much differently. Usually if you feel the same way in a day, then you know, express yourself fully in a healthy way, but usually you will feel, I find myself getting more resourced and seeing clearer, and I have a better capacity to respond rather than react, and that's been a life journey to learn that skill.
But that just, when I'm listening, it's like that's all that was a cue where you paused, or you noticed. Was it because you noticed yourself contracting or clenching?
Absolutely.
And then you're
it's
like, hang on.
that, that fight or flight mode, where now I'm about to react based on my own fear, conditioning, wound, some past conditioning, which is actually clouding the truth of what may have happened. And so it's just that ability to take a breath and understand that it's what I'm feeling is probably not really the truth and reality of what has happened. So take a breath, choose to pause, just breathe through it, think clearly about it, get grounded, maybe call a friend that is resourced.
So I've sort of been kind of going out into the world with this tracking. Like I have this image of one eye in and one eye out, and I just sort of track my own state while I'm staying in connection with you. And that's been helping me stay on the steady, navigate whatever's alive. Like this is an easy interaction, but if this was some sort of conflict, my usual state would be all about out.
You know what I've noticed though is when I come from love, so when I've been able to pause and I express and willing to show that wounded side almost, if that means, you know, crying from your heart space or whatever, you know, bringing that feminine energy where you just soften and you approach it with love and understanding, then all defenses are down, and that's when you have this beautiful open communication that you can move through gracefully, because you're showing up gracefully. But when you show up in reaction fight mode, like we're going to war,
it never works.
You're just going to go to war, and then you're not going to feel heard, and your outcomes are not going to get met regardless of who you feel is in the wrong or right.
And I just want to add that angry warring part of you is still really valid.
Absolutely.
And it just needs to be contained over here in a safe space, and maybe
but sometimes that's being triggered from someone or some event in your past that this person is now paying the price for. You know, and so it's that self-regulation to self-assess, where is this feeling coming from, and is it really relevant to this experience, or is it something in me?
So good. And this is all coming from having the capacity and the reserves to dive in and take a look. But if we haven't got that, then it's just, you just don't have that conversation. And you park it, and and that's not ignoring it, and that's not suppressing it, that's just parking it. I've got to really look after myself right now, and if that means drinking water and having a nap and that's all I do today, that's fine. So it's nice to be able to, you know, say it all out loud and hear what everyone else's experience is in this as well, because I think we've all got some pretty creative ways of self-regulation. We just maybe haven't been calling it that.
So let's let everyone know where can they get their hands on some of these resources.
Just evohe.com.au. It's all on there. That's probably the easiest place.
So EVOHE.
Balance between woman, man, and earth. Because essentially, you know what I realized the other night? I'm selling world peace. Really. And it literally just starts with
shivers then. It's
looking after yourself. Like, that's it. Imagine if we all did that.
Absolutely. the more we come to know ourselves, the better our relationships are, and that is how you heal the world. I truly believe that. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to hear the feedback from this. I think it's really going to land with a lot of
I'm really open to hearing everybody's experience and what they want to share too. We've all got this is the thing. The other little point is that from this space of self-regulation, then we do get to offer our gifts to the world, and the world needs it. We need all of it.
Yeah,
we need all of it.
And if anyone is watching in the corporate space, you are applying this beautiful methodology in the corporate world as well. So reach out.
Burnout is a pandemic, and it's really affecting a lot of businesses and workplaces, and there's not that many resources for self-care in there. So and
I think when we can be in our feminine and have a balance in our energies and be really mindful and connected with ourselves, we actually bring more creativity to the table and more productivity.
Absolutely, that's the whole point.
So it's beneficial to us, but it's also beneficial to what we're creating.
And this is what I've been saying about, rather than bypass our cyclical nature, we can optimize it. There's power there.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. We look forward to your feedback as always. And I can't wait to see what the next baby is, because I know you can't help yourself. Miss Creative. I'm the same. There's always something in the pipeline that's
there's a Google Doc. There is a Google Doc.
Yeah, you've already started, haven't you? Of course you have. And please go over and follow Meg as well. I will tag her so that you can stay up to date with what she has next in store.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.